Hello, and welcome to the Backyard Show. This week, James and I sit down with Kleptoe to discuss his new music, Yerba Mate, and Riff Raff. You can listen to his latest song, Vernal, wherever you stream music. And keep an eye out for his new EP of the same name, dropping soon. Now, let's get into the show. What was your first introduction to electronic music?
It was Daft Punk, and then in like 2010 I was exposed to like the internet, and I was like able to finally like, you know, be on it without like my mom standing there the whole time. And I got like into YouTube and like Skrillex and like going from there, and this was like a long time ago, so it was really early, and then it just kind of grew from there. Like my one of my close friends, Robert, was also kind of getting into it at the same time, and so we like really just had to feed off of each other and grow. And this was, like I said, like 2010-11, so yeah, and it just grew from there.
What about hearing Daft Punk made you want to make electronic music?
'Cause I didn't know what the hell was happening. Like Daft Punk was just so crazy at the time, and it was like, was it samples or was it not, you know? And it was just so like, wow, this is so eclectic yet so like perfect, you know?
Do you think after making electronic music for a number of years now, you kind of have an idea of what they're doing, or is it still a mystery?
100%. Yeah, it's really not. I don't think it's necessarily like what they do. I don't think that it's hard, but I think that it's just so perfect. You know, like it's all just kind of curated so well that it just makes it seem so much more complicated than it actually is. And that's not trying to downplay what they do, because obviously they're amazing artists and they know what the hell they're doing. So, but yeah.
Is there any non-electronic music that inspires the more EDM stuff that you make?
I take a lot of inspiration from Tame Impala. I really like what he does. It's just very like, the best way to describe Tame Impala is like, you know, you're driving down the freeway with your windows down, you know, and that's like that's a feeling. I take a lot of when it comes to inspiration outside of my niche or my genre, it's all about the feeling that it gives me. You know, like I really like sad rap per se, like Drake, like sad stuff like that. Like it just kind of crazy how it makes you feel a certain way so well. So I try to take that from it, not necessarily like I'm gonna be rapping on my songs, but you know, I take that from it and then try to put that into it.
That kind of ties into your Locations EP about
exactly
like, locations and feelings. How do you channel the feelings into music? What about the music makes you feel those things or think of those places?
It's not easy. It's a lot different because I'm not saying anything on these songs, you know, and it becomes that much harder because, like for example, you can say I'm sad on your records. Like I can't necessarily just come out and say I'm sad on a record and call it a day. So I try to, whenever I'm at a specific place or I can feel that like this is going to be something that inspires me in the future, I try to write a little soundtrack in my head. Like, okay, what would I hear? Or if I can't do that, I would place a song. You know, like a song that already exists, I would play it in my head type of thing, and kind of like, okay, so that makes me feel this type of way about this moment. How can I recapture that energy and put it into sounds?
Like when you're like doing that though, when you come up with the idea or the concept, or you find a song that's like, this feels like this, what's like the first thing you do production wise, like to start making it happen?
It's never like the same formula every time, but it's always painting a picture. Like for example, the song that I have, 19th Avenue, it's a very specific song. It's a very specific place, and I could tell you exactly where I was. I was in San Francisco going down 19th Avenue, and it was like raining and cold, and it was dark, and everything was just like, it's like one of my first few times that I was in San Francisco for an extended period of time, and I just felt so perfect in that moment because everything had just lined up so great for that like next week or whatever. And so it was like, okay, I have this really basic chord pattern on it. How can I kind of add more of a sad melancholy but also feel good in the same type of way, which is like kind of where I got the lead. And the lead was more inspired by like the lights because it was kind of shiny but like kind of not, you know. And then the vocals were just something that I chopped up in that song. The vocals were just something that I felt like kind of made that perfect release, you know.
How come you don't sing on any of your songs? Have you ever tried?
I've never tried, but it's been in my head for the last couple of weeks. Let me do some ASMR. Hold on.
Do you at least use your vocals in kind of thinking of ideas? Like for me, when I'm making music, I'll play out like a rhythm section and kind of vocalize some ideas that I might have and incorporate it to like synths. Do you ever do that?
I do sometimes, not as much as I probably should. I like using other people because there's like things that'll occur while they're doing something for me that make me come up with new ideas. You know, like music's all mistakes really at the end of the day. Yeah. So for example, like in 19th Avenue, the vocal chop was something that he sent me for a completely different song that was so unrelated, but like I kind of heard something, you know? And with you, a lot of times, Caleb, if I'm working on a song and I'm kind of stuck, I'll have you do some stuff to it, and then I'll take what you do and I'll resample it, and I'll go back and kind of, you know.
Talking about the vocal chops, because some of the chops are just so intricate where I can't really picture hearing the raw sample and then just what you come up with. Do you hear that end result in your head when you're listening to the raw sample, or are you just kind of chopping up until you find something cool? And
it's more of like, I feel it. I feel what it needs to do, because I would picture the vocal as an instrument, and you know, the typical minor to major release feel of a song. I would try to put that into play with those vocals. You know, how can I take this little like chop and make it make sense with the chop that was beforehand, you know, and to where it would also fit in. So it's not necessarily like I just look at a vocal and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I'm gonna do with that. It's more like I hear a melody in my head and it's like, okay, how can I get close to that with what I have right here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do you have any musical regrets? Like, is there any parts of songs that you've released, or maybe entire songs that you wish you could change or totally just scrap?
Honestly, I say a lot of it. You just kind of get like a regret feeling right away, because you're evolving, especially at this stage in my career, I guess. It's so like young and new that I feel like every day is like, oh, I look at something I made yesterday and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. You know, that's not as good as what I'm making today. As far as specific one to go, I say a lot of earlier music just because I wasn't thinking about it the same way that I'm thinking about it now. Like now when you look at a song or a project or whatever, it's a whole machine around it that everything's got to flow in one and everything's got to be together, you know? That's something I learned from you, Caleb, was doing all that. Because before, I was just like, oh man, I'm going to just put this shit out and hope that someone likes it, you know? But now it's like, how can I make this all one coherent piece of art, you know?
Let's talk about that, because I guess you just said you learned it from me, but what are other examples of artists that inspire you to make like cohesive productions as far as the audio and the visual side?
I'd say actually like one of the biggest ones that I've noticed in the last couple of months that really inspires me is Ghostmane. And you know, he's like some crazy rapper, but it's kind of weird. And also Freddie Dredd. I don't know if you guys know who Freddie Dredd is, but another rapper. And it's kind of weird how like their sounds just tie in so perfectly to what their visuals are. Like a weird thing about this Freddie Dredd guy is his music really sounds like it was recorded on a shitty tape machine, but it sounds so clean the way that it's produced that way. And his videos, the covers and that stuff not so much, but the videos definitely tie into that sound so perfectly. And same thing with Ghostmane, like his projects are just so cohesive, and his image and his branding is so perfect across, you know, every song. It's amazing.
So how are you going to go about that with your upcoming EP?
Well, the upcoming EP is a whole idea in itself that kind of is a lot bigger than just that. I'm really trying to go for freshness on it. Like it's going to be called Vernal, and that is it means like of to do with spring and of to do with like freshness. And so it took me a couple of weeks to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I had an idea of what I wanted to, but I didn't really know. And I wanted to do something that was like kind of described how I felt based off of the seasons, because I think the seasons play a huge role in like how I feel throughout the year. And so like during the spring and early summer, it's a very like it's a very happy time because it's new, it's new life, new growth, and so that's what I wanted to kind of play into, and that takes a bigger embodiment than just the sound. It's like, okay, you know, I gotta make my images look new and fresh, and the colors make new and fresh. So yeah, that's how I kind of just incorporated like a very desert summery colorway into how all the art's going to be looking, and how the covers and you know, videos and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Are you working with other people to create those visuals, or is it all you?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
A lot of it is me, just kind of like setting up my phone, a self timer, and then jumping in Photoshop. I have a couple of homies that are getting into photography. That my friend, he recently really started getting into photography, so he bought a bunch of film cameras. And when it comes time to actually get media together for the whole EP, he's gonna play a big part. My friend Greg is getting really into photography as well. He's gonna be playing a big part in that. But it's just them two, and I don't really like I know there's like a whole stigma between like you don't go to a photographer and ask them for raw photos. You go to a photographer and they edit it for you, and I don't like that at all. You know, because like I want to have the ultimate creative control over what I'm putting out. But they're really understanding of that, and they appreciate my vision, and them two really help me out a lot.
Can you explain to the listeners what the Burly Boy bass mixes are?
That's just me tapping into my inner Riff Raff, really, because you know how he's just always doing coke and saying dumb shit. Honestly, Riff Raff is a visionary. If you think about it, Riff Raff was doing a lot of things that these rappers today are doing way back then. This dude has had braids in his hair for as long as I can remember. He's had neon colored hair for as long as I can remember. He's been wild and crazy, and that became really big in like 2016. People started getting wild and crazy. That's when I was like, dude, Riff Raff is a freaking visionary, man. Like, as corny and as like weird as he is, he has the vision, and he is like he predicts the future. It's crazy, you know.
So what are the mixes?
So the mixes were just kind of like it started off as something that like I didn't have any music to put out, and I wanted to put a mix out, but I kind of wanted to give it like its own branding behind it, and so I was specifically going for like weird songs that I found on SoundCloud that were burly. You know, you're burly boy. It's big. It's beefy. You know. That's where the name came from. Was I wanted it to be like heavier type of stuff, and I didn't really intend for it to kind of give its own like branding or whatever. But I think people liked it, and it kind of just became its own thing. Because it's funny to say Burly Boy bass, you know?
Yeah.
And the Candy Blueberry Benz.
We've had a lot of discussions on the show, or we've had like two, about like third-party plugins that artists use compared to like stock plugins. Do you
have any favorites? Oh yeah, I spend way too much money on plugins. Favorite ones, definitely the Slate Digital stuff. Their package is actually kind of crazy when you think about it. You pay $15 a month and you get like so many crazy plugins. Like they have all those freaking compressors that you'll never use, but you still need them for some reason. They have a couple of synths. They have all those like weird effects that are really good. The Slate Digital stuff I bought was the SSL, the G bus master bus compressor. That's pretty cool. Serum is a really great synth. It's so versatile. It's like a massive. I have a couple of plugin alliance stuff, like some Brainworks, like console buses. SPL, they make like really good transient designer stuff, and it's really good for getting your drums. And I like putting stuff that shouldn't be on that there. So like I'll have like a vocal chop and I'll put a transient to like give it more like pop.
Hey bro, I got a filter on it, so that didn't do anything.
Oh bullshit. Yeah, so I'll put like that, those transient stuffs on stuff that it doesn't belong. They make great stuff. That's really it.
Let's talk about the Vernal song that you put out a couple of weeks ago. What was the first idea that triggered that?
Well, originally it was going to be an outro, and that started from sampling. It was only going to be like a minute-long song that was just an outro. And I had the main drums and like the first impact are all they're sampled. They're from a Travis Barker kit. Shout out the legend.
Yo, I have that kit. It's from Splice, right?
Yeah, that's an amazing kit. But so that the drums came from there, and I had a piano sample. I sent it to you really early on. I was sitting outside of a coffee shop in San Luis Obispo. My laptop was on like 13%, and I was like, I gotta make something, you know? I came here to make something, but they don't have any outdoor chargers. which is logical. Like, why would they, you know? And so I kind of laid down the pianos and all that stuff, and I sent it to you, and you sent me back, Caleb sent me back a couple of things, and I kind of went from there. And it was just like, okay, I told myself I wanted to make something that was inspired by the seasons, and like I said, vernal, fresh, new life. How can I put that into sound? And that's where that big melody came from, that doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. It's like, you hear it, you're like, oh, like this is driving down the freeway, you know, this is windows down, this is Tame Impala drums, this is, you know. And so that was kind of how I came up with that. And then the end was just kind of me going crazy, because it has like that piano switch of those crazy drums, and that was like me just drinking 3 yerbs and, you know, throwing a lot of Adderall and getting in there. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do Adderall. I just drink a lot of yerba mate that helps me get my crazy chops down.
Okay, so I've seen quite a bit of things on the yerb. How do you feel? Because this is a rare occasion, because a lot of our other guests are like more instrument oriented, but with like electronic music and production music specifically, there's a whole thing around yerb, like a whole thing. Like, I have friends who produce too, and they're always like on live streams in the middle of the night for
Yerbs.
Like a 6-pack of the
Yerbs, man.
What is it? What is this? What's the thing to it that really like works for you? What gets you going?
You know what though? It's kind of like, it's in the same category as like matcha tea.
Yeah.
Like, it's a nice, really natural stream.
Hold up, let's wait. This plane is extra loud.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's freaking 1942.
I'm just curious what the magic to this what's it called? Yerba, right?
Yerba mate.
Yerba
yeah.
mate.
I always thought it was Yerba Mate.
No, that's what I thought too.
I'm just like,
That's what I thought too. And then I spent like a week in Berkeley, California, and they were like, "Nah, man, it's yerba mate." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yerba mate.
oh, it's not Yerba Mate.
I'm just wondering what the magic is.
Nah, there's something crazy about those teas, man. It's just like, it's the perfect energy drink replacement. It's so like streamlined, and like I feel so much more focused. And I don't know if it's like a placebo effect, but I used to drink a lot of energy drinks like Monsters and Red Bulls, and I was like, it's like crack, dude. Like, it's like I'm all jittery and like, you know, I can't think straight. I gotta do something. Like, I want to punch a hole in the wall for no reason. But something about yerbs is that it's just so perfectly and like smooth and a nice clean flow of energy. It's not like, you know, crackhead stuff.
So that's you still focus when you're working?
I will say I was sick a little while ago, and so I didn't drink any, like I didn't stay up late, and I was taking care of myself, blah blah blah. And the first time I had a yerb after that, I thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, my heart's pounding. Like, I've never had this much caffeine in my body, you know? But I was fine.
That's the secret then. It's the focus. You can still do stuff on it.
Exactly. You're not tweaking. You're just working. It's a flow. It's a nice, easy flow.
I was genuinely wondering this, and I'm glad I could ask. I didn't think this was not on the list. And that was my favorite organic question of the interview thus far.
We gotta tag Yerba to try and get you a sponsorship.
Dude, facts. I think that's what Kenny has, because Kenny Beats is like, Kenny, like I f***ing know him.
Yeah, it's okay. I said Travis earlier, and then I was like, why did I do that?
I think that's what Kenny Beats has, because if you look on Amazon at Yerba Mate cases, they're f***ing expensive.
Yeah,
it's like $25 for a 12-pack. You're like, that's not at all a wholesale price.
So your name's Kleptoe, as in kleptomaniac. Is there any artists, or what artists would you want to steal a hard drive of?
That's pretty good. I'd probably say like someone like Diplo. Diplo's so diverse. You don't know what the hell you're gonna find in there. You know, he's probably got some crazy stuff in there. Like Diplo produced like the Snoop Lion album. What the fuck? I heard that and I was like, who the hell? You know, so you know he's got some crazy stuff in there that like make like it's like Beyonce and Rebecca Black, and produced by Diplo featuring, I don't know.
Wait, they actually have something?
No, but I would imagine that Diplo's has a song with Beyonce and Rebecca Black.
Have you heard they just did a Friday remix, like hyperpop version? You gotta listen to that.
I heard it. I don't understand hyperpop, I'll be honest. I like, it's listenable. I'm not saying it's not listenable, but I don't get it, and I don't know what the hell it is about it that I don't get. But it makes me feel old now.
It's because you're a boomer.
So like, just fill me in on the genre name. I'm bad with the names on the genres.
Hyperpop?
Hyperpop. That's like
Charlie XCX and the AG Cook.
Oh, that's like 100 gecs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like a little bit.
Yeah,
like all that. It's just 808s are just like.
That's interesting. That's some interesting music.
It is. It's cool music. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
It's not something there's a couple hundred Gex songs that go hard, but like in general, it's not something I just like. I feel like listening to this in my car.
Yeah, it's very specific.
I think there's a couple songs where it's like if it's like if I'm going out to go like get lit, like there's a couple hundred Gex songs where it's like, okay, this song goes hard.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I would have to agree. I don't. It's not my thing.
For the most part, it reminds me of like a meme. Like they pitch it up
Very
6
much
times
so.
and
Bro,
then they speed it up.
you are triggering me.
I know. I'm
love that
getting
stuff, right?
canceled for this. Caleb's gonna cancel me now.
Nah, bro. So we have this segment on the show called Dream Gear.
Dream gear.
Yeah, and it's basically just tell us 3 pieces of gear that you've been lusting over. Hang on, let's cue the Dream Gear music.
Lusting. Wait, pause. Lusting.
You don't like that word?
No.
I like that.
And I especially don't like it when you.
I like
I
that
especially
word.
don't like it when you do it in that voice. The one that you
my
do right
God.
before the podcast starts. Like that sounds cool right before it starts. But when certain words just don't work with that,
You don't
dude.
like my radio voice, bro?
Your radio voice
Lusting.
is
No,
good.
bro,
just
you
don't say
deep throat
sexy
the
time words
microphone.
with it.
And call it a radio voice.
It sounds dope. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Back to the program.
The 3 pieces of gear that.
Well, hang on. I need to say that again because I said the word lusting.
Oh, you're not gonna just leave that in?
Oh, wait. You want me to
Cue
leave it?
Dream Gear music.
It's time for Dream Gear.
All right. I
Okay,
guess.
so what's your dream gear?
I've been lusted over the Neve, the 5060 or 5000, however the hell you say it, the master desk.
The little
It's like
desktop.
Yeah, it's
control
like this
service?
big, and I think it's got like 6 inputs or something like that. And then it's a master bus compressor essentially, and it's a beautiful piece of $8,000 box to put my drinks on. I've been wanting a Korg mini log lately. I've been looking to go outside the box because everything I do is mostly inside the box except for like a MIDI keyboard. So I've been wanting a Korg mini log, and of course like an SSL 4000 console. But you know I don't have $500,000 to buy an SSL 4000 console. I probably never will. So
But that's why it's Dream Gear.
exactly, dream gear.
Well, I have one more question actually. We could cut this out because it's a little stupid. I just thought about it right now because when you like yelled in my headphones. But every time when we were in the recording program and I would go over to your workstation and you'd give me your headphones to listen to whatever you're working on, this fool had it like turned up to 11. I'm just curious, like, do you have any high frequency hearing loss?
No, my hearing is really good. I'm surprised.
What's the highest frequency you can hear?
I think it's like 17 or 18 hertz.
Okay. Yeah.
17 hertz
I'm like
is
the
what I
same.
meant. Yeah. Yeah, it's like 17 or 18,000 is the highest I can hear.
Have you tested your hearing? What do you?
Hell no, I don't want to know that.
It's not as bad. I mean, like you said, but you know I think helps me out a lot? Open back headphones.
I got open back monitors, but I also be using the ear pods a lot, and I know that's destroying something. I know it
might,
is.
but
And also just the volumes that I listen to music in my car
yeah.
to really
Definitely.
get them.
I think I blew on my speaker the other day listening to the Blondie.
I've
so.
definitely blew out my friend's car speakers, but I know when to stop in mine.
He was playing Kleptoe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Cool.
Again, you can listen to Kleptoe's latest song, Vernal, wherever you stream music. And keep an eye out for his new EP under the same name, dropping soon. And if you haven't already, you can join our mailing list at www.thebackyardshowpodcast.com to be the first to know when new episodes are released. Thanks for listening. This has been The Backyard Show.